the chairman of this biennial lecture in memory of a distinguished son of OGBOMOSOLAND, late ASIWAJU Dr. Sunday ADEDAYO ADEWUSI GCON, the leader of OGBOMOSO Foundation, Group, Committee. Thank you so much. The former governor of Oyo State, retired General Kukuola. I recall very well those years when we were in secondary school, when you were leading Oyo State. It's an honor again to see you live and to be with you here. Very eminent papas here, very eminent. I think the word of God has come to be reflected in my life. The Bible says, "Say thou a man who is diligent in his work, you will not stand before mean men." So say thou a professor diligent in his work, you will not stand, you will not sit before mean men, but men of repute of the OGBOMOSOLAND. So many individuals here have been called. So please permit me to just stand on that well-established protocol. I give God the very honor of coming here to deliver this 4th biennial lecture. It is my profound joy to be invited for the 4th biennial memorial lecture in honor of late ASIWAJU Dr. Sunday ADEDAYO ADEWUSI, GCON NPN, a distinguished former General of the Nigeria Police Force. My memory of the honoree of this lecture dated back to my days in secondary school, and later as an academic and police researcher. I've had reason to research on name and under inspectors general police in Nigeria. And for me, this invitation evokes some emotions and childhood memories when I had reason to visit Isaleola, OGBOMOSO during the Igbogo festival. My paternal grandmother, Oke, was from Ile-Ikomba at Isaleola. Again, I had reason to visit OGBOMOSO for different assignments, especially at the Baptist Theological Seminary as an examiner and to deliver public lectures. This invitation, however, is unique and special mainly because it comes from OGBOMOSO Community Foundation, people by eminent Nigerians like General Ola retired, Quantum Military Governor of Oyo State. I must also recognize my good friend and an important citizen of our UI, Professor Josiah Olusegun Ajiboye, aka Bembe, former registrar and Chief Executive Teacher Lecture Council of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, often members of the public do always forget who the police are. Reason is that it's always erroneously heard that the police are just other beings, forgetting that just like any one of us, they are also members of the public. This is because their powers are derived from the public, who willingly sign such powers off for their protection. This understanding is derived from the philosophy that birthed modern policing in 1829. This was propounded by Sir Robert Peel, a British statesman and politician who served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom twice, 1834 to 1835, then 1841 to 1846. He was, however, more revered as founder of modern policing than as a Prime Minister. I feel inclined, therefore, early in this lecture, to pontificate on Sir Robert Peel's principle of the idea that should guide police and policing in any society. I feel good doing so to forget some systemic issues tied to colonialism and policing in Nigeria, which bears some dysfunctionalities. Hence, the title of this lecture, Failure of Internal Security, Dissecting the Historical and Systematic dysfunctionality of the police force. The nexus expected between the public and the police, the first two P's in the trajectory in understanding police is to cement their legitimacy. Ordinarily, police legitimacy is fundamentally the hallmark of the service rendered to the public. Writing on police legitimacy, Dubois of Parent and Page about that being promoted the legitimacy of a police force by suggesting that the police will serve the interests of all citizens and that of the officers will be recruited from the working class as they were representative of the community. Till date, the 9th principle are still relevant. This is principles of appeal to police agencies across the globe. This principle, according to Government of the United Kingdom 2012, says that police will serve the citizens as follows. 1, to prevent crime and disorder as an alternative to their repression by military force and severity of legal punishment. To recognize always that the power of the police to fulfill their functions and duties is dependent on public approval of their existence, actions and behavior, and on their ability to secure and maintain public interest. To recognize always that to secure and maintain the respect and approval of the public means also securing the willing cooperation of the public in the task of securing observance of laws. To recognize always that the extent to which the cooperation of the public can be secured diminishes proportionately the necessity of the use of civil force and compulsion for achieving police objectives. To seek and preserve public favor, not by pandering to public opinion, but by constantly demonstrating absolutely impartial service to law, and to use physical force only when the exercise of persuasion, advice, and warning is found to be insufficient to obtain public cooperation to an extent necessary to secure observance of law or to restore order and to use only the minimum degree of physical force. To maintain at all times a relationship with the public that gave reality to the historic tradition that the police are the public and that the public are the police. Then, to also recognize always the need for strict adherence to public executive functions and to refrain from even seeming to usurp the power of the judiciary. To recognize always that the test of police efficiency is the absence of crime and disorder, and not the physical evidence of police actions in dealing with them. It is instructive and undoubtedly that these principles represent the best of what the police agencies should be. The fulcrum of the principle clearly shows that the fundamental philosophy of policing is about the public and its approval. Unfortunately, the Nigerian police force trajectories do not align substantially with the principles of sound appeal. Consequent on this, we have to interrogate the Nigerian police force, examine its foundations and some systemic challenges that have come to shape its paths and how these paths have come to define the force. The Nigerian police force and its foundational essence. The Nigerian Police Agency, a national outfit, is by law and Police Act the primary agency established on April 1, 1930 in Lagos, the erstwhile capital of the country. Prior to this period, there were two police forces, the Northern and Southern Protectorates. The Nigerian Police Force, which is the creation of the British colony, went through a series of transformations that have shaped its administration and operation. Early in its colonial expansion and its efforts to have a firm grip on various communities, the British colonial masters made use of the traditional rulers under whom they established various types of policing structures. One of the policing structures there was the part of the native authority police under British colonial police, through which the indirect rule policy was successful in the country, albeit with different narratives of success. The early personnel to the various native authority police forces were mostly the palace messengers and other commoners recruited by the traditional rulers, obas, emirs, and obis. And the move 2014 alludes to this in his assertion that members of the police agency, hardly in his history, were tools in the hands of political class and the traditional institutions. It submits that the beginning of organized policing system in Nigeria was influenced by the British government through its colonization policy. In collaborating this, Barry Osayode, 2008, retired Deputy General DIG of the police, submitted that from inception, the Nigerian police force was built on a wrong foundation. According to him, the British established a preventive police administration which was further decimated by the political class that emerged after the independence in 1960. Where this narrative gave way to a more defining mode of recruitment and enlistment to the police force, especially in the post-colonial Nigeria, the enduring public perception of those who constituted the bulwark of the personnel of the police in the early years of the agency brought about some fundamental questions on the caliber of the personnel and trust of the public. In effect, the problem of trust that the police force has, especially with the public, is a long-held view dated to the pre-independence Nigeria. This is one of the foundational challenges confronting the Nigerian police force, especially its image. The essence of the disconstruction and pontificating is to foreground the fact that the historical development of the police agency in Nigeria contributed to the disdain it suffers in our society. Gleaning from the above, therefore, I have heard that the Nigerian police public relationship have not been good. This is well established in the literature. Public discourses on it have also not shown anything better. Unfortunately, too, the police agency is equally not oblivious of this, giving a series of engagement with the public. In a strategic response to this, the force has a dedicated police to the public relations department, headed by an officer of no less in rank than an assistant commissioner of police at the police headquarters in Abuja. Among other things, in the schedules of the agency, the police public relations officer is expected to build trust between the Nigerian police and the communities by developing public relations strategies and effectively brand the same for public consumption. In light of the importance of engaging the public and communicating or clarifying policing activities, the police authorities do ensure posting of competent police officers to police commands and formations nationally. This notwithstanding, the police force in Nigeria has always come under public scrutiny as a result of its excesses, which always make the stakeholders to call for reforms. While this is a desirable reference, it is also to draw an anticipatory suggestion, which could be one of the interventions that could suit the Nigerian police force as it makes efforts to smoothen its relationship with the public. The allusion is also to further underscore that the Nigerian police force is enmeshed in some systemic challenges that further widens the gulf between it and the public. These challenges were as a result of what our colonial masters bequeathed to Nigeria. The Nigerian police force, very early in the expansion of the British government, was programmed to be a tool of oppression and repression. The Nigerian police as an agency is not always oblivious of this moral and image baggage, as it has over the years put on measures to assuage its image in the public. It is in the context that this lecture is conceptualized to interrogate the dysfunctionality confronting the Nigerian police force and how this is impacting on internal security orchestrated by the protracted terrorism and banditry that have engulfed the country in the last 15 years. The trajectory of terrorism first orchestrated by the Boko Haram sect led by Abubakar Shekau in 2009 has left approximately 700,000 people dead and 2.5 million individuals displaced. Specifically between 2011 and 2023, the following Nigerian state recorded the following deadly attacks with these fatalities: Bondo, 10,155, Zamfara, 6,103, Kaduna, 6,195, Benue, 4,191, Adamawa, 4,157, Plateau, 3,768, and Yobe, 3,229. The statistics of death and displaced people are not only disturbing, the consequential effects on peaceful governance, economy, education, and welfare and social activities have been very harrowing and have caused the country and the citizenry onto psycho-emotional hardship and loss of financial wealth. Aptly, at the 2014 submit that terrorism occasioned by the Boko Haram cell is the largest security challenge Nigeria has faced in its almost 5 years of independence. There have been ceaseless attacks on government facilities, military formations, and cities like Abuja, Kaduna, Niger, Katsina, Jos, and even Owo in Ondo State, in villages and educational facilities. Recently, there was again a resurgence of attacks by several new groups, including Lukarawa. Nigeria now ranks 8th among the top 10 countries with the highest level of terrorism in the world. That is gotten from Global Terrorism Index 2023, with 7,575 score from the 163 countries analyzed. As such, it has become an epicenter of terror, violence, kidnapping, and banditry for more than a decade. Ademo and Ademo 2022 contend that the last few months of 2024 were very harrowing in Nigeria in respect to internal security. Many attacks define military solution. The persistent acts of terrorism and banditry have also led to serious interrogation, and these events have decimated national discourses, so they have dominated national security and discourses about public security. These horrible actions have brought about consequential and anxiety and fear in many parts of the country as incidents of terrorism continue within the nation unabated. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished audience, it is even more disturbing and harrowing if the statistics by the National Bureau of Statistics published by the Daily Trust newspaper of December 18, 2024 are to be our reference in this lecture. That in the last 1 year, 2.2 million people were kidnapped. This figure is more than the population of Lesotho, which is 2,180,000. Slovenia, which is 2,118,697. Latvia, 1 million. Equatorial Guinea, 1,669,000. And Guinea-Bissau, 1,063,000. Mauritius, 1,235,000. And within the same year, kidnappers have raked in 2.2 trillion naira. And 614 deaths recorded. Security lapses in urban spaces in Nigeria. One of the major factors promoting terrorism in Nigeria is the numerous urban spaces across the country. In Nigeria, there are many of these urban spaces which are not only haven to criminals and bandits, but where violence and banditry are being regularly unleashed on innocent Nigerians. This provides support to the dictum that nature abhors vacuum. India is a country with a vast landmass where many of the states are bigger than many independent countries in Africa, Asia, and Europe. This unfortunately creates a major disadvantage for security entities, and in many areas and villages there is complete absence of governmental officials and authorities. Urban space is defined as physical and non-physical territories in which effective state sovereignty and control is either absent or only partially available. As a consequence, such urban spaces are often out of the reach of government officials and security agencies and are therefore vulnerable to non-state-oriented armed groups. According to Taylor 2016, urban spaces have since the 1990s become a source of serious instability and pose a danger of global insecurity. Taylor further posits that while on global spaces can pose a security threat, terrorists are rarely responsible for their creation. It is therefore a common belief that bandits and terrorists will find such on global places safe havens for their operations and regional control. In some parts of the northeastern and northwestern Nigeria, some areas are under the firm control of bandits, where they have established some forms of governance structures, local legislation, and tax collection. This is what Forest 2020 refers to as a zone of competing governance, or a region with parallel governance structure. Forest further contended that this title is appropriate giving accounts of places in some local governments in states like Kaduna, Borno, Plateau, Niger, and Yobe, where bandit groups have even hosted their own flags. Taking this further, the National Security Strategy 2020 submitted that on global spaces around Nigeria's international boundaries, forests and game reserve provide opportunities for criminal networks to foster and generally promote criminality and transnational organized crime. The driving factor promoting terrorism in Nigeria and globally are often embedded in these ungoverned spaces with different camps and command structure. This has contributed to the seemingly unfettered spread of terrorism in Nigeria and other regions across Africa. There are many global forests in the country, such as Dreaded Sambisa, Algalo, Kamuku, Kuduru, Timbuktu, Triangle, Kuyambana, and Tubus around Lake Chad, where bandit groups not only hold sway, but also keep their victims as hostages. Mr. Chairman, sir, after witnessing not too good respite in the year 2024, it is like the country is witnessing some form of sophisticated resurgences from the various terror groups. As early as one would not have imagined in the first month of the year 2025, I talk of the year, January, there have been serious attacks on Nigerians, including army formation in Borno State. The Punch newspaper in January 10 edition reported that not less than 10 states in the country are under the siege of the bandits. It is apparent that a country like Nigeria, where past administration have not done much in securing many of the ungoverned spaces, are now faced with many areas where bandits now hold sway. In what looks like an affirmation of this line of thought, Abdul of 2012 argued that the Nigerian nation had never enjoyed an appreciable period of stability that could guarantee security and sustainable development across the entire country. Governance, localized policing, and the question of insecurity. There is a need to delve further into the perceived legitimacy of security governance in Nigeria and the quest for subnational police or local public security measures. The question of insecurity has evolved to the need to harness all potential resources, which include a subnational policing structure. The absence of apparent policing at the local level has meant that the safety normally provided by the state police has transitioned to non-state actors, providing local security in areas where the government presence has not been effective. Unfortunately, government officials at both the federal and state level surreptitiously accord the leaders of this pseudo-security outfits with a form of recognition, which indirectly translates to legitimacy. These groups have helped to curtail insecurity in the southern region of Nigeria. There is still the issue of actual legitimacy from the official perspective. On the other hand, these subnational police initiatives have not been able to function in the northern region in the country due to the threats and action predominantly imposed by Boko Haram and other violent groups. But the demand is there and is even supported by the political class. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the monopoly of national security by the Nigerian police force is no longer justifiable. I repeat, the monopoly by the Nigerian police force is no longer justifiable amid the increasing security in Nigeria. The desire for subnational police is not overdue, as most states have well have well-established security outfits as Amateku, the Eastern Corps in the nation, Southwest, and in Kano State, respectively. Recently, federal governors called for the establishment of state police. The call must have been due to unending challenges of violence, banditry, and kidnappings in their region. Similarly, other stakeholders and scholars have continuously interpreted why Nigeria should amend the constitution to pave the way for subnational policing structure. Having further on this, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in an emergency meeting held Thursday, 15 February 2024, with the 36 state governors and the National Security Advisor brainstormed on the probability of state police structure, owing to the observed continuous slide in the national security. The call for national policing, for subnational policing structure, has been very consistent. It underscored the point that stakeholders and our national political leaders are not clearer of the need for it. The growing dissatisfaction of the public with the present policing architecture, especially as it relates to the handling of banditry and insurgency in Nigeria, is pronounced. While the debate for and against subnational policing structure seems unending, our country seems to be on the right path, and more so, our consensus is one, and that is overcoming the menace of insecurity. It needs also be stressed that Nigeria is gotten under police if matched with the United Nations policy of one police personnel to every 450 citizens. That is the ratio. With over 200 million Nigerians and a population of about 270,000 police personnel, it shows that the ratio is about one police to more than 600 citizens. This is not only far less than the United Nations recommendation, it's less than 1/4 of the US recommendation. While the federal government has approved an annual recruitment of police personnel, the point of the fact is that there needs more police personnel to secure the country. Countries like the United States of America and China with bigger populations have policing ratios that range from 2 to 4, in other words, 4 to 9, and in other places. The contention is that the present policing structure in Nigeria is not fitting to address insecurity personnel-wise. Nigeria being a democratic country with federalism structure should key into a policing model that is democratized. For example, the United States of America has 4 styles of policing models: traditional policing, community policing, integrated policing, and problem-oriented policing. In Nigeria, we have only reactive policing structure, and they are not at 3 levels. In other words, federal, state, and local. It is therefore instructive that Nigeria should allow 2 levels, federal and state police, if cannot afford the 4 structures at the moment. There is also the need for a transnational regional counter-terrorism entity or fusion center, as terrorists and bandits are not only within Nigeria but across the borders of the Sahel region of Africa. This agency or center would fortify the counter-terrorism strategies through coordinated intelligence sharing, territorial surveillance, training, and capacity building. It will be beneficial for the Nigerian government to utilize its position and leadership within Economic Community of West African countries to promote and potentially develop this initiative. Unfortunately, some countries in ECOWAS are not leaving the sub-regional bodies. I tell people each time I'm called to come and talk about the issue of security on national media that whether we like it or not, Nigeria has to cut Chad and Niger Republic and Mali because of the fact that these terrorists are there. And if we are not cutting them, it means that they will not cooperate with us, and this will unleash further banditry and violence on Nigeria. To further this, the intervention of the community and civilian population will supplement these activities. Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, over the years in its checkered history, the Nigerian police force is moving with narratives that have put the agency in bad light in public space. In effect, policing legitimacy with a reference to the Nigerian police force is top-down, in which the central government wields absolute power on the force, which more often than not brings the police in collision with the public. These and other factors, especially the question of insecurity, has plagued the country in the last 15 years. The Nigerian police is dysfunctionality and changing narratives. The Nigerian Police Force is a primary security agency that oversees the internal security. In its trajectory, the police in its current state still possesses some critical features of its colonial vestiges. In understanding this assertion, the police agency in its about 94 years of its existence still displays some attitudes and operational strategies that are not akin to best practices expected of modern policing. The police constitutional responsibilities as contained in the Part 2, Section 4 of the Police Act and Regulation 2020 clearly spelled out the police shall prevent and detect crime, apprehend offenders, preserve law and order, protect life and property, maintain due enforcement of all laws and regulations with which they are directly charged, and perform military duty within or outside Nigeria as may be required by law. The Nigerian police rules and functions in the light of the above act and regulation have always been subjected to public scrutiny, and often they have always been rated to be low in the threshold of public opinion. Not helping the personnel in the context of this is the observed dysfunctionality in respect of cases bordering on ethnics and brutality of the police force in Nigeria. Cases of public scrutiny have more often put the police in public disdain. One of the recent examples in the Nigerian space was the NSAS crisis, in which scores of Nigerian youths were extrajudicially murdered in some states in Nigeria. The NSAS was a movement orchestrated by Nigerian youth in response to police high-handedness and brutality. And in 2021, writing on the police force, said that the agency has had a series of labeling, ranging from unsavory behavior, extrajudicial killing, corruption, and aiding criminals. The NSAS is the call for the stoppage of brutality. The Nigerian police force unit, special anti-robbery squad, notoriously known for its long record of abuse against Nigerians, especially the youth. The protest against SARS brutality and unethical conduct in October 2020 lasted for more than 10 days, also led to deaths of many police personnel and burning of many police stations and formations and privately owned properties. According to Punch, newspaper of November 2020, it was estimated that about 1.5 billion naira, in which was 1.03% of the gross domestic product was lost to NSAS protests that year. The question of funding, which arises from here, is that as much as possible, I suggest that for us to be able to get it right and get the police to function very well, it requires absolute funding from the government. So this includes under budgeting and non-release of budgeted funds. Studies have shown that each time there are budgetary allocations, every year, what gets to the police headquarters is nothing to wrap about. So you need to look at this as well if you want to get the police function very well in Nigeria. Again, the question of accountability and transparency. Accountability and transparency are still two factors that give the police force a drawback in the public space. Police accountability and transparency, which are mutually related, are reinforcing and can lead to an improved public rating if the agency adheres to ethical principles and norms expected of it. I can vouch that there must be adequate accountability and transparency on the part of the police. Welfare and benefits. The welfare and benefits of the personnel of the Nigerian police force is a concern to stakeholders and security scholars. The police in Nigeria remain poorly paid, and this is argued to contribute to poor policing duties in the Nigerian space. In reconstructing the Nigerian police force, the workforce would have to be motivated for improved service delivery and post-service year. Similarly, I call for a review of the shift work and the regular hours by the police personnel on duty. More often, the long hours of policing duty could impact negatively on post-traumatic distress of the personnel. The occupational stress experienced by the police especially the bottom rank ones, is always counterproductive. Addressing this will go a long way to give the police in Nigeria some public perspective, technology, and innovation. Modern policing heavily relies on technology and no longer basically on kinetic and weapon handling. This perfectly fits the 21st century policing which the Nigerian Police Force and its personnel should embrace in its reconstruction. It's only through smart policing, in which policing operations are infused into technologies that the Nigerian Police Force would be the desire of the public. As I conclude, Inspector General of Police Sunday Adewusi, GCON, and his legacy. The popular Yoruba proverb says, "Ẹni tí a bá ti torí rẹ̀ jẹ adìrẹ, ìwé ní jẹ." Mr. Chairman, sir, it's apposite to commend the people of Ogbomosoland, home and abroad, and especially Ogbomoso Community Foundation, which is the umbrella body of all civil societies of Ogbomoso expansion worldwide for the triennial public lecture in honor and memory of an illustrious son, distinguished Nigeria, and one of the best Inspector General of Police that once graced our public space in Nigeria. ASIWAJU Sunday ADEDAYO ADEWUSI. Mr. Chairman, sir, ladies and gentlemen, my quick check, other than what I knew about him as a young Nigerian police scholar, showed that late ASIWAJU Sunday ADEWUSI had eloquent and tremendous legacies as the 5th Inspector General of Police in Nigeria. His period of service between 1981 and 1983, although was short, but very impactful, as it occurred during the aborted Second Republic. Inspector General of Police Sunday Adewusi was reputed to have recorded the establishment of the Police Mobile Force, OGBO, which is instrumental in maintaining law and order and promotion of internal security. Then, modernization of police equipment, new vehicles, communication gadgets, and weaponry of enhancement of the Nigerian Police Force operational efficiency. He also, during his tenure, improved on police welfare, which I talk about in this lecture, and capacity building through training at home and abroad. It's also on record that he promoted discipline and professionalism in the force. No wonder his legacies cannot be voided in the OGBOMOSOLAND. In the Nigerian Police Force and in Nigeria at large, he was indeed an Inspector General of Police, a true son of OGBOMOSOLAND, in whom the good people of OGBOMOSOLAND, home and diaspora, are pleased to love and celebrated even in death. Conclusion. The Nigerian Police Force has come a long way, being the oldest security agency in Nigeria. In this lecture, therefore, the challenges confronting the agency are not only interrogated and pontificated, this within the ambit of what the agency should be, and to make the public accept the function and roles of the agency, especially amidst series of internal security challenges confronting the country. It is logically presented in the lecture that overcoming the challenges of internal security will require deconstruction of the police agency for effectiveness. On this, it is recommended that the police force has presently constituted means to be disembarked with a view to accommodating some national policing structure in that position, which is referred to state policing structure. On that final note, I thank the OGBOMOSO Community Foundation for the honor of inviting me to deliver the 4th memorial lecture in honor of a legend and one of the best Inspector General of Police, Chief Dr. Sunday Adewusi, GCON. Thank you all for being a good audience and for being part of the journey and made this afternoon to this lecture. Thank you and God bless you.
We can go better than that. Thank you very much. A well-articulated lecture. you very much. While the lecture was going on, the children of our Baba Adewusi came in. You are welcome. You are welcome to the podium to come and have a word with us.